All right, guys, welcome back. We got a pretty exciting one today. So something I've been super excited to get in the mail and been waiting on. We got us a new bow. So we're gonna have a little bow build today. Like I said, super excited to get this in. Been waiting on it a little bit. Maybe. This is what we've been waiting on, actually, not the bow. Here she is. First look at the Obsession Ultra Mag NT. Like I said, been waiting on this one and glad to get my hands on it. The Ultra Mag is actually a magnesium material, so it's not your standard aluminum. This bow is 33 axle to axle, so a little bit longer than I normally shoot. This is actually my first 33 axle, longest bow I've ever shot. Currently shooting the Martin Firecat, which is 32, or the one I have is 32. So a little bit longer, but I like that it's going to be a little more stable platform for some of the out west hunts, and we can definitely make do in the tree stand. So here she is, all black on black. I like it a lot. I guess it's the Ultra Mag material. It is super, super light. I don't know the exact specs on that. Give me just a second and I'll be back with specs. We're back with some specs. Like I said, this is an Ultra Mag NT. Axle to axle is a 33 and an 1/8, so 33 inches. Your brace height is 6 1/4. IBO is at 348. It does have adjustable draw links due to a module here that is 26 to 31. Technically can range from 40 to 70 pounds. I do have a 70 pounder, and mass weight is 3.68. So when I say it's light for a 33 axle to axle bow, I'm being completely serious. It is super light. Like if I pick it up next to a 32, they're just, it's big night and day difference. So let's get to building it. Oh, let's beat it around a little bit first. We're just going to toss on accessories and get that built, and then we will go from there. So let's do that and we'll start bolting on stuff. We don't need those. Need a rest. Just here. And then a peep sight. All right, we're going to start by just putting on this back bar mount here. There is a couple different options. There's technically one I guess you could put up here, but that's mainly for your front bar if you want it lower. There is also this back option, which is where I prefer to run it. Technically you could still run it like I guess they used to run them before they made this, and that's up front. But I like my back bar mount to be lower. It just allows the weight to be lower in the bow, and it definitely holds a lot better that way. So we're going to put it on this bottom mount here. And there's that. Let's throw it in the press. This is something that you want to sit flat, so you're going to push it pretty flush to the bow and then really tighten this down. This is something that you do not want to move, so I like to really crank on it, get it nice and tight. We're going to throw on just a QAD, the Ultra Rest HDX. It's the same rest I've used on pretty much all my other bows, so I'm just going to, maybe if I can get it on here, I'm going to toss it on. This bow does have where you can use the integrate system I just don't have that rest, so that's the reason I'm not using it. Also, that is new, is 2 holes up here that you can use Picatinny mount for. But like I said, I don't believe I'll be using that either. Allen wrenches. So you want to be fairly easy on here. Sometimes they can get paint in this, and you will just, this is any bow, just ease it in there. You don't want to cross thread it, or like I said, there could be paint in there, so you can back it out if need be. But we're just going to snug that up there. Those out of the way. So that's pretty much, we can bolt this on, I guess, which is just for the sight. Still running my dialed. Can't say enough about this sight. Absolutely love it. All right, so pretty much all the accessories are on. I can just slide that in there. We'll put my quiver mount on here in a little bit, and then the bars just screw in. So the main accessories are on. We are going to check and be sure the mods are at 28, which they are. So that is good. We are going to move over to the press. I'm going to put this in. Actually, no. Let's find center point and all that first, or center shot, and find all that first before we move over there. This guy. So I like to just put an arrow on, put your rest up, and pretty much you want your arrow to go, I'll turn this around so it's easier. Maybe. I don't know if you can you see that? Yeah. So you just pretty much want it to go through your burger holes there is what we're going to go for. And I'm going to use the silver Sharpie method is what I like to call it, and mark this. Let's be sure everything's level. And then you also want that to be level when your rest is all the way up. So there's that, and we are right through the burger, so I'm just going to put a silver Sharpie mark above and below it. Pop that out. So we just did our nocking points, and we are going to tie in, or just marked our center shot and nocking points there, and we are going to tie in nocking points. We didn't mark nocking points. We marked where we wanted them to be. So pretty much to do this is just overhand knots, and like I said, silver Sharpie method's what I live and die by. So you're just going to put it right there on your silver Sharpie knot. You go on top and then on bottom. And then on top once. You don't want these very thick. And then I like to do it one more time here. Get that pretty good. I'm just going to cut those down, or cut these off and burn them. Grab a lighter. there's that. And I actually like to get a little bit of fletching glue and just dab it on there, and I mean ever so slightly. Put a little drop on there. That just really ensures that that won't come off. So we are going to do the exact same thing on top here. And some people run one or two, or one nocking point. I've always just ran two, and grab an arrow here. So I'm going to be shooting lighted knocks, so we're going to tie them in with that. But you don't want, or you want a little bit of slop here, about a serving material's length of slop. So when you pull back, it's not, you don't have any knock pinch, which that's what we got here, about a serving material's length. Tie on this side. Finish it off up here. Get those tight. And we're going to just cut these off. And we can burn these down. Like I said, just a drop of glue. Do not want very much, and that's the hard part. So drop of glue, let that be good. Let's tie our D-loop. We're not going to get this very tight just yet. So you want to put your peep in before you really cinch down this D-loop, or you'll actually have a little bit of twist, and we don't want that. So we're going to just fan this out and then burn it down. You want a good ball here at the end. Just blew that out. Just going to smash it down there. Hopefully the audio has not been bad, because I forgot to turn that off. So you're just going to ball that out here. And I always forget which side's supposed to be up, so we're going to cheat or away. Yeah. So this top side you want away from you, so you're gonna come in and you want this top one away from you on this top side here. You just get that down nice and tight on here. You can put a knock in here just to be sure so it doesn't cinch down, and we still have a little bit of play here, which is what we want. And then come in on this side, under, through, around, and back through to us. And we will just push this down here, so about right in there, and then I will cut it somewhere in here, just kind of a guesstimate, and just cut it somewhere right in here, and then we'll burn that down, and then make it finish it off. We're just gonna burn this down. We get a good ball there, but we're not going to tighten that until we put our peep sight in. So end up needing this. Let's throw this in the press, and I apologize ahead of time because it is going to be a little bit loud. All right, we're going to go to the press, toss a peep sight in, and then put this in. Just for the sake of y'all's ears, this is a little bit loud. We'll be back once I press it. All right, so we're gonna throw this, like I said, in this down cable, Don't really matter where. It doesn't got to be perfect center, but you definitely want it as close as possible. Hopefully I'm not in the way there. Just get it pretty close. Be sure you run this through the right way, because I've definitely not or done it the other way before. Just kind of pull that, let that there. You do have a string here that separates, or a little serving material to separate your actual string. That's just telling you center a string. So to put the peep sight on, I know it's a little bit longer, but we're gonna cheat. And it's gonna be somewhere in there. Slide this up so you get center string. Like I said, we're just gonna throw it in pretty close to there. It definitely will not be perfect, but it'll get me close, and we can fine tune as we get out here. Okay. And this is a 3/16 inch peep. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but my hooded one, or my Hamsky peep, is still on that other bow, so I didn't want to take it off. So we are going to let this down, and once again gonna quit so your ears don't hurt. You ready? Alrighty. So we're gonna get her back here in the bow vise, and we are going to tighten this down now that we have this here. So grab our good old knock pliers and just snug her down. Like I said, I don't want to get her too tight, because we probably are going to have to adjust this a little bit, but we can get it pretty close. And then I'm going to be sure this is where we want it still. This was in my way, is the only reason I noticed it. But we're just going to draw this back, and that will pretty much put this in pretty much where we want it time-wise. It'll pull this a little bit, but you want the rest to be coming up in about the last inch or two of your draw. So just roll this back, and pretty much that's where she lies. So you can slide it back down a little bit and pull it out if you need to. Draw it one more time. While we have this, so a lot of people already know how far it is from the riser to the arrow to give you center shot. Quick and dirty way to always check that, because I normally forget the number, is to, let me see if I can find a way for y'all to see it, is to pretty much, you're going to measure off the back side of the riser, just a little, you can do it with a tape measure, I just had this laying around, and the front side of the riser, and you want them to be even. If that's even, then your center shot's where you want it. And it looks like I may have got lucky, and that's really close. We can bump it a little maybe. So just loosen this screw on the back side here. God dang, son. I guess I didn't want that one to budge last go around. Yeah, we're gonna give her just a little bump. I mean, ever so slightly. I say that, and normally it moves about 9 miles, but oh no, wrong way. Should have been moving this in, I think. Yeah, there we go. I guess it was off a little more than I was thinking. But there, that's perfect. So that'll be center shot off the, like I said, you can measure that. It's pretty easy, and you know it's right. So there is that. And so these new Obsessions, they come with, let's get out of here, this K-set system, which is up top. And that allows you to drive the cam left or right. you'll have one down here on bottom, so you can move the bottom cam. So you don't need shims or any of that, top hats or shims or anything. You can just move it left or right. So this is really important that you find your center shot, you get it where you want it, and get that all perfectly square. Because when you do that, you just move it up here. It allows you to keep center shot. You're more accurate that way. It's a lot more consistent. So that's the reason we really double check and triple check that and be sure it's all right. So now we are going to tie in this rest real quick. So we already checked the timing on that. So all we're going to do here is slide this down just a little and pull it just a little there. You don't have to do this, but it's just what I prefer to do. So going to take a little bit of serving material. There's plenty of ways to do this, but quick dirty way, and how I like to do it, because it's not going to go anywhere, is you're going to tie above it, and you're going to go through, and then through that double loop there, you're going to come through and get it down tight to where you want it, and continue that process. So through your loop right here, you're gonna have that, and then this one's one that you really want to cinch down. So do that, and I like to do that 4 or 5 times. Nothing too crazy, but that's just what I prefer to do. And I don't tie below it. You can do this exact same thing below it, but this string will only go up because it's going to be pulling that way. So I don't ever worry about tying it below. But there's 2 or 3, and then this last one, you go 1 to finish it off through, and don't end that. God dang, these big old fat fingers don't work very well. Go through, come here, and then back through again. So this helps if you don't got the fattest of fingers like I do. And then cinch that down now. That'll allow you to get really tight. I actually like to take a pair of pliers, wrap them around it, and get it tight. Doesn't have to be super tight, but I don't like my stuff moving, so take that off there. And we're gonna do the same thing, a little bit of cut and burn, maybe. Cut, burn this down. Just watch this string here. We definitely don't want it to be burnt. Give it a really good old smash, and that's that. We can cut this still, but silver Sharpie is nice. You can just mark it right here where you want it, and actually pull that through so you have your mark, and then it allows you to just cut it and burn it out here where it's not in your way. And give it a good old burn. All right, now that it's flattened out, we'll just pull that back to where it's flat. So now, peep sight's not tied in. We can draw this and be sure this is where we want it. Let me get a release on real quick. So we'll be back in just a second. I don't know where my release is. All right, well, we were going to, I was looking for my release, which is here, but we need this sight, which you're good. It's just as, unscrew this little knob, slide it in. There's a couple settings, but I just like running it as close as I can to, God dang, son. slide right in there to that groove. And like I said, run it as close as you can. Get this tight. It'd be nice to have a little more grip there, but I'll just take an Allen and actually just tighten this. You don't want this to move, so get her nice and tight there. And now we can be sure our peep height is good before we just tie it in. I can also say, off camera, we were, when I found my release, looking, and because we were going to check timing, and it is out of time just a little, and the press broke. So no more pressing and fixing timing tonight. That'll be a tomorrow's issue. We were going to have to shoot inside in tomorrow anyways. Let that hold that while I do this. So we won't be paper tuning tonight either. Out of time does you no good. So we'll be hollering at some people that got to press. But so to set my peep height, I like to set my sight on about 60 yards. And that is solely because as you go further, this sight housing goes down, you actually have to drop your anchor point. So I put it about 60 yards. So when I draw back, that's so-called normal, or where I'm used to anchoring. And at 20 yards, it's not much. And at 100 yards, it's not much. If it's at 20 yards to 100, it feels really different. So that's how I like to set my peep height. So draw this back, and so we're going to push this up, and just my luck, it's going to be backwards. We can't press the bow to flip it. So this is where we end and pick back up tomorrow, because we're going to have to flip that around to tie it in and then finish tuning. But our press took a little crap on us, so we will be back tomorrow. All right, we're back. We found us a press and was able to get timing right and the peep sight tighter or flipped around. So we're just gonna pretty much tie it in, and we'll be able to shoot it through, and toss on the stabilizers, and be able to shoot it through paper and get it shooting a bullet hole. So we're just gonna tie in the peep real quick. Leave that out. Alright, that's all good. We got lights, and we're gonna find a target, but we're gonna paper tune and scoot back over there, so we'll be back in just a second. Alright, well, we are gonna run this through paper and the initial first shots of this. So we have a tail right, I guess is the correct terms, but we're gonna just pretty much push the cams, I think follow it, go over. I'm gonna have to read and look, but push the cams to the right, just using the K-set system. So we'll do that and shoot back through paper. All right, so we're gonna push this right. It's not that bad of a tear, so I'm only gonna start at a half turn. So we'll push this one right, and then come down here on bottom and do the same thing. Right, and if you want to know how these work more, we got a video over it, so just check that out. But that's pretty easy, and we'll shoot it again. And bullet hole. So case that makes it really easy to tune, and like I said, 2 shots and we got a bullet hole. So super easy setup. The Ultra Mag NT from Obsession, super stoked to get it and put it through the ringer. So until next time, keep seeking.